the treatment that they need.
It's a proven fact that the sooner breast cancer is discovered, the better your chances of survival. That's why regular screenings are so important. Take a look at this. This is the size of an average lump detected on a mammogram. It's less than 1 centimeter, very small. This is the size of a lump that's typically discovered through a self-exam. It is much larger, at more than ½ an inch in length. But here's why screenings are so vital. This is the average size of a lump that a person finds by accident. It's more than 1 inch long. Once a tumor gets this large, it is much more difficult to treat. That's why it's recommended that women over the age of 40 and those with a family history of breast cancer get regular mammograms. And the screening technology has really advanced over the last 10 years. More and more clinics like Oregon Imaging have turned to digital mammography. It eliminates the old system of analog images, and it gives radiologists like Dr. Kathy Chicola clearer pictures so she can spot anything unusual.
The other great thing about digital is that I can manipulate the images. I can magnify, I can turn things around, I can blow things up. So there's a toolbox that comes with it that I didn't used to have with analog mammography.
That means Dr. Chicola can get a clearer picture of what's going on and eliminate calling a patient back for more tests if it's not necessary. Digital mammography also cuts the radiation level to the patient by 30%. But women need to be consistent with their screenings in order for them to be most effective.
Unfortunately, we have patients almost every day who come in who haven't had a mammogram since 2008, and then you see something that looks like a cancer, and you just think, well, God, if they had come in a year before or 2 years before, we would have seen that at an earlier stage. So I still see a benefit with yearly screening.
In terms of screening in general, Dr. Chicola says there really isn't anything that beats a mammogram because it's relatively inexpensive and widely available.
Digital mammography is more common these days, but research is ongoing to find something even better. Scientists have now developed 3D technology, and it's being used right here in the state of Oregon to help make mammogram tests even more accurate. The 3D machine called the tomosynthesis is being used at Willamette Valley Medical Center in McMinnville. The FDA just approved the technology this year, and so far this is the only hospital where you will find it in Oregon. Patricia Hemerol came here for a follow-up mammogram because she found a suspicious lump in her breast. The 3D mammography works by recording sharp 3D images that reduces the amount of overlapping breast tissue.
Even in the short month that we've had it here, we've had several cases where we've found little cancers that we really believe we wouldn't have seen if we didn't have the 3D images.
Doctors say the 3D mammogram test is so accurate that the need for callback tests have dropped dramatically, which is good news for patients like Patricia.
I'm one of the people that has to keep coming back because they don't know what they're looking at or what they're seeing, and it's a lot of anxiety for me. Now I'm glad that I don't have to come back for another year.
Dr. David Seitman says this technology is so advanced, he equates it to going from an X-ray to a CAT scan.
We've heard over and over from local doctors about the importance of getting regular screenings. And we found one local physician who not only talks the talk, she walks the walk. Dr. Julie Gemmel is a radiologist oncologist here at Willamette Valley Cancer Institute. We just happened to be shooting a story about mammograms when we discovered Dr. Gemmel was there having her regular exam. She's been getting them yearly since age 37 because she knows as a patient and a physician that they do matter.
We're finding cancers now that are like 1/4 of an inch in size, and the treatment is a lot less invasive, and people get to avoid chemotherapy. Some of them even get to avoid radiation therapy when they're caught really early.
Dr. Gemmel says regular mammograms are the best way for doctors to determine if there have been changes within the breast tissue and if something is abnormal.
Any way you say it, 40, the big 40, 40 is 40, and that means it's time for breast cancer screenings. And it can be nerve-wracking to go through any medical test for the first time. That's why I thought we could go through it together.
When I checked in at Oregon Medical Group, Jen Cantu gave me a gown and a quick rundown of what to expect once I walked down the hall to the mammogram suite.
Stand right over here.
OMG has all female technologists who do their best to make the procedure as quick and comfortable as possible.
Anytime if you're uncomfortable, you feel like it's too high or too low, let me know. That way we have the best compression and the best pictures for you.
Jen needs to take 4 images, 2 on each breast.
We're basically looking at the breast from 2 different angles, and this is one side and this is the other.
Perfect. And then you're going to lean in towards me.
It's not the most comfortable, but the squishing and scrunching isn't as bad as I'd expected.
It's a little bit more snug those first 2 pictures. You doing okay?
Yeah. And it's quick.
Here we go, hold real still.
Once you're in position, you just have to hold still for about 10 seconds. Once Jen's done, the images are instantly sent to the radiologist. Darian Mourier then grabs his magnifying glass and gets to work.
We have a digital system, so they're electronically generated. There's no film involved.
For patients like me with no symptoms and no problems, you go home and you call to get results the next day.
You call this number here, and then you listen for your specific number, which is 222.
But for diagnostic patients who have a reason to be concerned, they meet with the radiologist right away. Mourier is looking for a couple of clues. Density differences in the tissue.
Tumor will show up as an area that's denser.
And tiny deposits of calcium in the breast.
And those can be normal, but calcifications with a certain pattern can be an indicator that there's an area of tissue that's trying to become malignant, that's on its way to becoming cancerous.
It only takes him a couple of minutes to make his way through a mammogram, and he's not the only one that is searching for signs of a potential problem.
It's almost like having a second pair of eyes to interpret the mammogram.
He has the help of computer detection software that highlights areas that seem to be abnormal, and studies have shown it sometimes spots problems that radiologists might miss.
We feel very strongly that early detection is the key to taking care of breast cancer.
That's why Mourier says screenings need to start when you turn 40, despite recent recommendations that change the guidelines. He says the most aggressive forms of breast cancer typically strike women between their 40th and 50th birthdays. Waiting an extra year can be the difference between an easily survivable, curable cancer and death.
If you're going to get a breast cancer, we want to catch it while it's at the earliest possible phase, because in terms of the effect on your life, it can be huge whether a tumor is detected when it's not feelable and has not spread versus if it's detected when it has become feelable and has spread. Tremendous difference in terms of not only survival, but in terms of the effect on your life.
My mammogram took less than 30 minutes, and while it wasn't completely comfortable,
we have not found a way to make the mammogram totally comfortable.
The worst part wasn't the procedure itself, it was admitting on TV that I'm no longer in my 30s. A small price to pay, though, to leave with a clean bill of health.
Well, we can't say it enough. The key to beating breast cancer is early detection, and we at News Source 16 want to help. And that is why we launched our 16 Checks In campaign. As News Source 16's Megan Higgins explains, help is just a few clicks away.
KMTR has been offering our 16 Checks In program for several years now. It's easy to sign up. Let me show you what to do. Log on to our website, KMTR.com. When you get there, click on the 16 Checks In tab. Scroll down and sign up for our monthly alerts. It's free to join. Just fill out the registration form with your name and email. One woman on our list knows firsthand how important early detection is. Christine Buxton is a high school teacher in Eugene. She's also a breast cancer survivor. We first met Christine about a year ago while she was undergoing chemotherapy. Christine is convinced that an annual mammogram is what saved her life. A mammogram that she scheduled after getting her email reminder from 16 Checks In. Christine had a very rare, aggressive, and fast-growing type of breast cancer. But because it was caught early, doctors were able to remove it before it spread to her lymph nodes. Now Christine is all finished with her treatment and she's back in the classroom. She's even added some pink paint to the walls in celebration of her fight. And she's spent a lot of time reminding the women she works with to get their annual screenings.
Everybody at work now has had their annual mammograms and they are up to date because I hounded them every day, get your mammogram, make your appointment, and finally they've all done that now. And so when it comes time for my next annual, I'm going to start hounding them again too.
At last year's race for the cure, Christine was still in treatment, so her coworker Rebecca ran the race for her. This year, they'll run it together. Christine hopes her story inspires you. So go to KMTR.com and sign up for 16 Checks In. And when you get that reminder on the 16th, don't stop there. Remind the other women in your life to do their self-exam, your mother, your sisters, even your girlfriends. It's simple, and it could save your life. I'm Megan Higgins, News Source 16.
Self-exams are an important part of routine screenings. A woman by the name of Teresa Norris is glad she did them. That's how she knew something wasn't right. But it was during her recovery from a mastectomy that she connected with a Eugene plastic surgeon who helped her recover what she had lost. Teresa Norris is a survivor, but you can call her T. Last year, her team, the T-Zone, was one of the top fundraising teams at the Eugene Race for the Cure. T says for her, that event was her victory walk. She was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2009 after discovering a lump during a regular self-exam.
I'd always done myself breast exams anyway. Not that I was looking for anything, which is kind of ironic. But yeah, that was how I found something is different. This feels different. I can feel something is there.
T underwent an MRI, which detected a second tumor. She admits she was scared.
I didn't know anything about breast cancer. I didn't know anyone that had breast cancer. The only experience that I had with cancer were my uncles, who were all elderly, had gone into the hospital, diagnosed with cancer, and then they died. So when I was diagnosed with cancer, I was terrified.
After weighing her options, T chose to have a mastectomy, then chemo and radiation. Her game plan? Get rid of the cancer and then deal with the consequences to her figure.
I was given all of these choices. I had to decide. I had to make these decisions. And you just have to tackle them one at a time. That's all you can do, really. But I felt everything was going to be okay because I already knew Dr. Daniel, and I knew the fantastic work that he did, and I knew that he was going to be there for me. So he's transformed my life twice.
Dr. Lee Daniel is a plastic surgeon in Eugene. He performed a breast augmentation on T 7 years earlier. He says it meant a lot to him that he could perform her breast reconstruction after her mastectomy.
I think a lot of people out there are a little afraid of the process. And once they've come in to chat a little bit about this, whether it's at the time of their diagnosis or between their mastectomy and considering reconstruction, I spend a lot of my time trying to make the whole process as simple as it can be.
It's been a long road since T's diagnosis, but she gives a lot of credit to Dr. Daniel for helping her look and feel more like herself again. Reconstruction is a personal choice. For some women, it's not important. For others, it is, and Dr. Daniel says the process has come a long way. It's most often done on an outpatient basis, and a woman doesn't even have to spend the night in the hospital.
All this attention being paid to early detection and research is making a difference. Komen, Oregon is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year, and over that time, death rates from breast cancer are down 31%. Komen is currently managing more than 550 active research grants. Several are underway right here now in Oregon. After touching every major advance in breast cancer science, Komen is now focused on innovative research to bring treatments from the lab to the bedside quickly. As we speak, 42 clinical trials on potentially cancer-fighting medications are underway at Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center in Springfield, many involving breast cancer patients. Those drugs were developed through research that organizations like Komen, Oregon help fund. Now, from the time a drug is developed to the time it's actually available for patient use can take years. But in clinical trials, patients get access to those medications before they are approved to help evaluate a drug's effectiveness for future patients.
It's not always a last resort. In fact, sometimes it's even a first resort. And we've had a number of recent clinical trials where patients have had complete remissions on experimental drugs offered in the frontline setting that they might not have had outside of the context of a research study.
Breast cancer used to be seen as one disease, but now we know it's many different gene mutations.